Facebook Live audience. I have George Khalaf of data and analytics firm Data Orbital here with me today to speak about a poll that his firm conducted recently about K-12 education funding and voter sentiment toward Governor Ducey's plan to raise teacher pay by 20%. So thanks for being here, George.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
Yeah, so when I see something interesting like the poll that I saw that your firm conducted, I want to go straight to the source, straight to the data sleuth themselves to get the information. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first and foremost, tell us, what is the poll? Tell us about the poll and the results. What did you find out and how?
Yeah, so the poll was conducted this last weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It's what they call an 800N, so extremely representative of a statewide sample. And really we just wanted to gauge where likely general election voters were when it comes to the governor proposing to raise teacher pay by 20%. What are the ramifications on legislators? Because obviously in addition to the governor's race and other statewide, we have a lot of contentious legislative races. So how do voters feel about legislators supporting the governor's plan? And also, do voters think that this plan is going to have an overall positive impact on education? Because as we all know, education is the hot button issue right now, and every poll that we've done since the history of time, in this state and other places, it's a big deal. So we wanted to test how things are going.
Wonderful. So what did you see? What were the results?
So we found, as we put out this morning, that an overwhelming percentage, 75% of folks, support the governor proposing to raise teacher pay by 20%. And the thing that was extremely interesting to note that we put in the press release was that the highest support actually came from registered Democrats. And so as we know in our partisan politics today, for a Republican governor to receive the highest support on their plan from registered Democrats, it's a big deal. And especially from Democrats likely to vote. It does cut through the noise that we're seeing in D.C., and I think that's going to be a big deal. We also found that nearly 60% of folks would be more likely and extremely supportive of a legislator that did support the governor's plan, so that's good news for the members of the legislature. I know there's been lots of talk. I think legislators, in my opinion, would be excited and should be excited to get behind this plan. And the final thing, when it comes to does this have a positive impact on education, same thing. Nearly 60% of folks, a little over 60% of folks thought that this would have a positive impact on education in the state of Arizona, with once again Democrats leading the charge in the mid-60s. And so overall the assessment is, one, folks are excited to vote, and that was very clear, and people are motivated about this plan. And these are the same people, quite frankly, just to, again, cut through the partisan noise, that also found President Trump to be unfavorable by a 13% margin. So only 42% of people viewed him favorably, 54% viewed him unfavorably, 12% margin. And so same people support the plan. Democrats support a Republican sitting governor, also have an unfavorable opinion about Trump. So we're definitely cutting through the noise here with this policy issue.
Wow. I mean, so full disclosure, I completely support the 20 by 2020 plan. I think it's a fantastic idea, especially being a former public school teacher myself. But is it normal to see such overwhelming support from all sides of the political spectrum, or is that abnormal on issues like this? What's the norm here?
In 2018, it's not normal, right? I mean, one, nothing is normal nowadays, but two, to have all three sides, right? So I know we talk about both sides, but independents do have a decent chunk in the state of Arizona. To have everyone across the spectrum support something, very few and far between. Education as an issue is viewed favorably, or it is popular or on the top of mind for people across the spectrum. But anytime you delve deep into a certain subsection of education, you always lose people. And so, and especially you lose people of the opposing party. And that, to me, that's why I keep hitting on this point, is a big indicator. And so not normal, and especially in an environment like 2018.
Wow. So a huge majority, both Democrat, Independent, and Republican, all came out, or all said on this poll, likely voters, that they support Governor Ducey's plan to raise teacher pay by 20%.
And 18 to 34-year-olds, another interesting tidbit that wasn't even in the press release, supported it by the highest margin of any other of age subgroup. So I thought
millennials.
That was millennials, 18 to 34, supported it in a big way. So that was another interesting thing.
So see, this is why we go straight to the source, because we get the interesting tidbits that aren't in the press release, like the millennial support for Governor Ducey's teacher pay raise plan. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. So I have to admit, when I saw the poll on Twitter this morning, I was really excited about it. I thought it was going to be something interesting to talk about with you. I'm really glad you agreed to be here. What are you getting other interest in talking about this? Is Are you seeing a lot of conversation on social media about your poll or from traditional media sources? Who's talking about it? Is there any buzz? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's quite a bit of talk on social media. I have found it interesting. I've been laughing about it on and off, sometimes laughing, sometimes not. That there is a distinction I found when we put out polls, whether it's in 2016 or today, that there have been focus in this poll, let's say particularly on the fact that President Trump is unfavorable, but then the same folks that put that out and talking about it, even members of the opposing party that are using this as a sort of a rallying cry, feel the need to not talk about the other components. And I think that as a pollster myself, and this is the lens that I try to look at other people's polls through, that you critique a poll and you do it justice, and that's good. So if it passes the criticism for you to put it out, you only put out components, not other components. So I thought that part was interesting. But there's been quite a buzz on social media. I think people are pushing this around, and I actually was just reading an article by Lori Roberts, who the headline of the article, it says, strike back, not strike. We can disagree about that and about lots of things that she said, but some of the emphasis was that the public, citing this poll, the public is just not going to be behind something like this because they support the 20% increase.
So what you're saying is that some folks are sharing the unfavorables about Trump aspect of your poll, but not sharing the same poll that produced the information about support for Governor Ducey's plan.
Because
that's strange.
It has been noted that people love to use polls for political purposes, and I'm not saying nearly any poll is going to have a twinge of politics. We're polling political issues. I'm not going to kid myself. But when you feel the need to cherry pick certain things, it becomes overtly political, and I think that, as a pollster, does myself an injustice and does everyone else an injustice as consumers, because now we are led to believe that certain portions of the poll should be consumed and not others, when in fact it's all one and the same, came from the same poll. So, and obviously we're proud to stand behind our results and have had a consistent track record, so there's not even a question there.
Excellent. So, and this poll was conducted just this past weekend?
Yes, Saturday and Sunday.
Excellent. So these are hot off the press results for sure. So last question, just because I think it's really interesting. Data Orbital is your firm, correct?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit before we go about you and sort of how your career path led you to starting a data analytics firm like this.
Yeah, so I started in grassroots politics of all things. I just love political campaigning. It's just been in my blood since I was a little kid. Moved around, lived in D.C. for a little bit, had a stint at the state party, was proud as actually the statewide victory director in 2014 when all of our statewide electeds were ushered in, and so that was an exciting experience.
Good year for sure.
Yes, it was a great year. And then shortly after that, in January of 16, started Data Orbital. We've transitioned into being a full-service data analytics and survey research firm, doing a lot of work in Arizona, but have done quite a bit of regional, national work as well at this point. And I am just motivated to put out good information because I know I want to consume good information. And as a general consultant, when I was running campaigns, I wanted to consume good information. And so that's what I strive to do, and information that is above reproach. And so whether someone agrees or disagrees with my polls, I'm proud to stand by them. And that really is the crux of why I do what I do and why I conduct myself the way that I do.
So solid methodology.
100%.
Wonderful. And this is an Arizona firm.
Yes. Yep. Arizona-based firm here in Phoenix, offices down the street. Proud of it.
Wonderful. Well, George Khalaf, everyone, Data Orbital, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks.
All right, Facebook Live audience. See you later.